Georgie.
Yeah, hi.
It's just so nice to meet you. I know this is a little bit last minute, but thanks for sitting down with me.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Great. The reason I wanted to have a chat with you is because you do very different work. We're here obviously at the London Horse Show. And can you tell us a little bit about what you're here to do and your kind of work with horses?
Yeah, so we're here with the Knights of Middle England to do a bit of entertainment throughout the competition. And this year I've brought 3 of my horses and we're going to do a little Liberty Act, which is really nice. It means that we literally worked with the horses together on stage and they're all tackless, so they're completely free. Yes. And it creates a very nice picture.
Yeah. Well, when Carl mentioned earlier Liberty, straight away that was what came to mind for me, right? You riding without tack, without bridle, without a saddle. And I find that hugely inspiring. Back in the day I used to ride myself, and now working with professional show jumpers, I think the work that you do connecting with the horse, I mean, you must have an incredible connection to be able to do that without tack. I mean, I struggle with tack, so tell me about how have you gotten into this, but also most importantly, like, what do you believe is the most important about riding in Liberty?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I obviously started riding fairly early, but I always thought, it would be so nice if we could work with them more free, and if we could just make sure they want to work with us, and especially back then it was even more that you had bridles with loads of straps and everything had to be really tight, and side reins and draw reins, and the more the better. And I just never really liked that, and I was like, is that really necessary? Because in my experience, in my opinion, horses actually really want to work with us, and they're really wanting to do the right thing. And most of the problems I encounter nowadays working with horses are actually misunderstandings and communication problem, because horses are obviously very good guessers due to their nature as prey animals. So normally they get it right, but then you get in a stressful situation, the horse isn't sure, so it reacts a different way, and we're like, oh, but you always did it right, so why don't you understand now? And it's because they didn't understand, they just guessed and they kind of got it right. So in the work we do with the Liberty, it's like the word liberty has a freedom in it. The horses are tackless, so they can decide to leave, and they do. They do express that as well. And the work we do with them and what we start and what we're trying to do, and this is actually the base of everything, it should be the base of everything, is that we create a language with the horse that we both agree on. It's like a system that is always the same. So you build, the first stuff you do is a couple of words, a couple of movements, and then you build on that. And then the work I do in the show is just the icing on the cake. It's because that is possible, because I can literally talk to them. I can be like, oh, I want you more left, and I want you more right, and I want you here, and they actually understand. And then it's actually incredible, because the sky's the limit. Sometimes I'm myself, it's so incredible how much you can actually speak to them and they understand. And even in everyday life, when you get stuck with your horse, and my horses learn words as well. So I can actually stand further away and tell my horse to go left or back, and it goes like, oh yeah, I haven't tried this, and it's incredible. And they start thinking and looking for solutions, and it makes everything so much easier. It's not only more fun for us and the horse, it's also easier in everyday life. You don't have to worry about your horse. They're just there, they understand, they can think for themselves. They're not just waiting for you for instructions, and that's where I think the teamwork starts, and this is what I think is the most rewarding thing, to work with the horses, and it gives you such a nice feeling. And sometimes they decide they don't want to work with you and they do leave, but then they come back and they're actually so willing. It's incredible.
Wow, that's so inspiring. And I think actually going back to what you mentioned at the beginning is you started in the traditional way.
Yes.
And it sounds like there was something within you that said, this doesn't really align with me. And I really recognize that. Back in the day, I was taught in a very traditional way, and I had to sometimes beat the horses because they weren't listening. And a voice within me said, this is not who I am.
Yeah.
But we're not taught that, are we?
No.
So what made you decide to find a different route?
So I actually stopped riding at some point completely. I was like, I don't want to do it. I'm done with the people, I'm done with all the pressure. And I was also competing, and for me personally, it's not so much my thing, the whole I'm better than you, which for others it's really inspiring, really pushing. And I said, I'm done, I don't want to do it. And then I stopped. I think I stopped for half a year. And then thankfully I had a grooming job at a place where they do holidays with horses for like 2 weeks. And I was like, well, I can't cancel that. I'm going to go after those 6 months. And I was like, I miss the horses so much. I miss them so much. And then after that, I had started a musical education, which is completely different. Mm-hmm. And then I was looking for some horses where I could just be with the horses, and I was really lucky to meet a lady that was a bit alternative and started doing a little bit of like classical riding and the liberty stuff, and was really soft with the horses. And then through there I kind of slipped into the show world, and I met more people who are like this, and I was like, this is my thing, and I'm actually going back to horses, and now I've got my own horses, and like I'm really living it like full.
Amazing. I think it's really important to hear, because especially, I don't know if this is true, but as women, I think we have that voice within us that says this very male approach that doesn't suit me.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant to hear that you dare to follow that. Even at the time, maybe it felt very insecure, but now you found your path.
Yeah.
So you talked about the communication with the horses and how actually you literally speak the same language. And you taught them that language, but it sounds like within that you're also really listening to them. Is it like a one-way street where you're teaching them all the time, or is it more like a communication, like a conversation?
Yeah, it is a communication, and you start off by teaching them what you mean, and then you also have to listen for when they say no. And this is the really important part, because sometimes we have to do some certain things. Like certain things have to be done, and you have to know in worst case they're going to listen to you, because the better they listen to you, the more freedom you can give them. It's a bit like with children.
Yes.
Like if you know they're going to be home at a certain time, you can let them run a bit more longer outside, and it's the same with the horses. But when they tell you no for the first time, or tell you I'm unsure, you need to show them, hey, I heard you, and either you decide, but we're still going to do it one more time, or you're like, okay, we stop for now.
Right.
Once the horses realize you actually listen to them, they start communicating so much more. And that's with a lot of horses that are really calm. Sometimes when you show them this, all of a sudden they get really nervous, they get really spooky, and you're like, oh, it's not working. But it is working. Yeah. It's just everything they held in and they like froze comes out now.
Yes.
It's a bit like people with trauma. All of a sudden everything breaks out. And then on the other side of that is the open street. And it's really interesting how much they actually talk back, in a sense, and how much you also are able to see it. And then it's important also that when they say, oh, I don't want to do this, and you're like, no, we have to do this right now because of X, Y, and Z, that then afterwards you go like, but I heard you, and like next time I might decide different. Or for example, I do it a lot in training. Sometimes I have to prepare for the shows, and we have to practice stuff. And when I feel like my horse is really, today they're not feeling it, I say like, okay, we do 2-3 things, and then we just take it a bit, like I actively decide we don't do so much, so they're like content with me again. And then other days they're full of energy and they really want to do much, and then sometimes they even start offering me new things now, and I'm like, ooh, I like this, and we start and do this. And it's really cool how much ideas they bring in themselves as well, and how many of the tricks actually I later show started because they started something. They were like, ooh, it feels cool to move in this way, and I was like, yeah, I like it, we do it.
Wow. That is really just wow. So it sounds like, and tell me what your view is, but in the traditional way we're often taught that the hierarchy is the rider is the leader, and you have to tell the horse what to do and they have to obey, right? Mm-hmm. And that trickles through in all the communication. But what I'm hearing is you guys are operating on the same level, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you hear them, you acknowledge them, and sometimes you go with that, and sometimes you say, okay, well, and we need to do this. Yeah. But because there is that mutual respect, there isn't that demand, there is that, hey, working together towards a goal, and you trust them.
Yeah, and they trust me, which is very important.
That comes from that listening, right?
Yeah.
That's incredible. So then they start to even offer, other options. Do you feel like in this way you're really making the horses responsible as well?
Yes, they start thinking for themselves, and that's for me also really important. And for me especially, because when I start working with groups, then I can't micromanage like 3 horses at the same time. They do need to know what their job is, and they do need to know what their task is. And I interestingly find when you give them responsibility and you're like, this is your position and I want you to take care to be in this position, they get really proud of it. They're like, yeah, I know where I'm going, you don't have to tell me, I'm already here. And then that's where they engage in the work, and they're like trying to figure out what you want before you even know like what you want, and they're like, oh, but I could do this, and oh, I know where I am and you don't have to look for me. And that is really nice, and it creates like a kind of like a mentor team or like a parent-child. That's what I like to say always. It's because I'm still responsible, because at the end of the day we're in a human world, so the horses are in a human world, but they are able to communicate, they're able to express how they feel, what they want. And then also going back to the trust, it's very important that when I tell them it's safe, that it is safe, and then you build proof. So next time when they're really scared of something and I say, no, you're okay, they go like, well, you never failed me, so it's okay, I will go with you.
Yeah.
Wow.
How do you communicate? Like, is it literally you tell them with all the words, speaking it out, or is it more through thought, or is it images? Like, how do you communicate?
In the beginning, it's a lot of body language. Me personally, I like to use a whip as literally an extension of an arm, because the whip shouldn't have any negative connection. It should literally be the energy we're putting in. Like I also use the whip sometimes to stroke my outside horse because it's too far away to be like, hey, good boy. And like, it's easier with the whip because my movements are bigger in the beginning to explain a bit more, like, I want you to come this way. And then very important to teach them very early, like a praise word or a praise gesture or a praise. So you can, it's a bit of a game of like in the beginning of hot and cold, if that makes sense. And so when they do something you want, you're like, yeah, that's good. And then they go in the and you're like, no, yeah. So they can start to figure out a pattern. And then once they figure out the pattern, it's important to keep the pattern the same. So they know exactly, okay, yes. Yeah. And then once that is established, I already start adding words, because I think it's another level of communication. Because again, if my horse is far away from me and I can't touch it, I still have a communication open, and then the movements of the body language get less and less the more tuned in your horse is with you. Also, they do know us very well, so if you work with your horse, at some point you'll be able to literally just think about things, and that's already enough body language for your horse to react. And especially when you have sensitive horses, and especially one of mine, he's so sensitive, like I can literally send him away and call him in with just extending my energy and pulling it back and stuff, and it's incredible. Like sometimes even I'm like, wow, how did he understand that? And it's such a nice feeling. So it can be anything. It can be words, body language, the energy, and even the thoughts, because especially tuned in horses, we think of something and our body changes the slightest bit, and they can already tell the difference, because they are obviously, as prey animals, so tuned in to changes in energy and way more aware than we are as humans. And a lot of the times we're way too loud for our horses. We basically scream at them, and then they're like this, and we're like, why are you like this? But we are normal, we think, but our energy is up here, and the horse is like, oh my god, something horrible is going on. And because my human is so stressed and they don't understand that we're just like this, we have to tune it down a lot of times, because they can already understand the slightest movement.
So what you're saying is we as riders have to take responsibility for the energy we bring to the horse, right? Being very aware of your energy is really critical for, especially per horse, right? Maybe some stallions need a little bit more energy, and some mares might need to tone it down a little bit.
And it's also very personal, because horses live of authenticity, is that the word?
Authenticity,
because I'm a different person to you, for example, or to another man or something, and I can't copy the exact way.
That is a key point, and I can already hear people thinking like, okay, well, tell us, how do you regulate your own emotions? You're nervous, you know that's going to impact your horses. What do you do with that? Yeah,
that's a funny thing, because I actually really struggle with nervousness, especially before shows. Mostly not because I'm nervous of the show, but because I want to do really well and I want to show something really good. So I try to breathe a lot. I think breathing techniques are very important. It's also something I do teach the horses, by the way, as well, like a kind of a breathing technique-ish thing to calm themselves down. And then I try to, meditating is a thing, but I'm too active to like really sit down and meditate. What I try and do is really tune in with my horses and feel them from my energy, and try to like almost imagine that I open up my ball of energy and I take them in.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the times that is when you then feel their energy as well, that is what brings me down, and almost try and zone out of everything. Also an important point is sometimes when we get nervous or like horses get really spooky and they jump around us, we get naturally nervous because obviously feet are flying everywhere around you. The horse in this moment doesn't understand that you're nervous because of the horse. The horse goes, see, she's also nervous, so we are actually in danger. So sometimes really just taking a minute and just breathing and bringing your energy levels down, almost making yourself tired, the feeling of tired, bring your heart rate down. That's when they then go like, okay, no, she's okay, so maybe we're okay.
Wow.
So I think these are the things I'm trying to do. I'm trying to almost get myself in a state of like where you get a bit tired, breathe, which that's what helps, and then try and like actively feel out for my horse's energy and my own energy rather than be in the outside and looking around. So a bit like internal and really
get into
feel
that bubble, into the feel and the energy. Those are 3 amazing points, and obviously in the work that I do as a mental coach, it's something that I bring in a lot as well. So I love that you use that and you found a way. And what I'm hearing is it's okay to get nervous. We all get nervous.
It's natural, it's normal.
Exactly.
Also to a point, if you don't get nervous about things anymore, you don't care.
That's it, yeah. And I think a lot of people get worried about being nervous, right? And that makes them even more nervous. But it's how do we regulate that? And what I've learned on this journey is, as a rider, learning to regulate that. Not that it has to go away, but that you know it's okay. I know what to do with this, and we can still stay focused together, is what you're also then teaching the horse. Is that also your experience?
So yeah, horses also can learn to regulate their emotions, and obviously depending on us anyway, but I also like to teach them a technique where they actually lower their heads and they start, because adrenaline can't flow when a horse's body is relaxed. It's the same as for us with the breathing. Sometimes you're in panic and you're like, I don't want to breathe, but then when you actually breathe, your body relaxes and then your mind can follow.
Yeah.
Then it's the same for the horses, and we teach them a technique where they can lower their heads so the body relaxes, so they can actually start breathing and relax. And they learn that in stressful situations, the pressure will go away once they relax. And then you can teach them that in a controlled environment. And later, if you're on the street and you meet a tractor and the horse is really scared, obviously the tractor's not going to go away because the horse starts breathing. But what then happens is they go like, tractor. And you can either ask them, or sometimes they actually start using it themselves. They start trying to relax. And then once they actually have been breathing and been like, okay, they look at the tractor like, actually, on second thought, it's not actually that bad, because horses obviously react first and then think. That's nature, their instinct, and then think, some horses more than others. And what we're trying to do is catch that instinct a little bit, give them a second to relax, and then they can actually think about it. And you'd be amazed how smart they actually are and how much they can really figure out.
It's actually the same for humans.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, I think, just this concept of realizing that the horse has so much ability to also learn on a mental level.
Yeah.
Right, about regulating their own body and mind. And I think that's such an untapped area that a lot of equestrians in show jumping are not using, because they're not aware of how intelligent the horse is in that level. Like being able to just communicate with the horse and show them like, oh, this is possible. It's not just technical and showing them through hundreds of repetitions, but actually just through communication like you and I are doing right now.
Well, if you have a communication going, and if the horse know how to regulate themselves, you don't have to prepare for every scenario, because it doesn't matter. Whatever comes, you know you can handle it. Where otherwise you have to bring the same trees and you have to see the same jumps, and like now to the show jumping, or like desensitize. And actually I think that desensitizing is not good. We don't want them to go numb. We just want them to be able to regulate and understand and cope with it, because actually the sensitivity is what makes the horses so special. We want to keep that, especially for riding, and also especially for the liberty stuff. I want them to like pick up on little things. The
sensitivity is what we want to keep in there. I love that. You're absolutely right. And having been on this journey, all the research, the people I've spoken to, I've learned the same, that we have to give more responsibility to the horses they actually need that. They need to think for themselves. They need to be on. You know, you want them to be thinking, to be sensitive.
And they're really growing with it as well. They take so much pride in being a part of it.
That's it. That's when they shine and start to think for themselves and think ahead. That's what we need, right? For top level, whatever it is you do.
Anywhere, and even for leisure riders, like just in the field, it's so much nicer. You feel so much safer. You don't have to hold them with 5 ropes. You know, if you know, you can just tell your horse, oh, just wait for me a second, or oh, stop here, or we have to stop there, or come back right now, which is also an important thing, like a recall.
Yeah.
Because how many times have we lost horses at an event and you're like, oh no, the horse is gone and it's dangerous.
Yeah.
If you know you can call them back,
Wow.
already problem, like so much of it is solved.
Yeah. And there's so much confidence that come with it. And a lot of riders that feel like, okay, this is a huge step up for this horse. They feel like now I need to do this perfect because otherwise my horse is going to struggle. So they feel like they carry all this responsibility. Whereas actually, if you learn to share that and become a team, you can do it together. You can trust that they will figure it out on their own, right?
Yeah, and also the clearer the communication is and the better your horse knows you, the more likely they're also forgiving mistakes. Like if you do something wrong, you go like, oh, sorry, and they go like, and then it's forgotten.
Yeah.
It's more with the horses that don't know what's going on, because if you then make a mistake, they're like, oh my God, something happened and I don't understand. And
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, this is so incredibly helpful. And the last question I have is maybe a little bit more personal, but what has been the biggest lesson for you on this journey?
I think the biggest lesson for me is that how important it is actually to regulate myself. So most of the horse training has actually very little to do with the horses, but with us as humans and as people and our expectations on the horses, and what we want from them, what we expect from them, how we approach the whole thing, knowing that horses actually really want to please, but at the same time they also want to be horses, so you also have to pick them up where they're comfortable, and that that most problems are cleared up with just a clear communication. And sometimes even when I nowadays run into problems, it's a communication problem where I maybe have to go a bit back to a base and just clear something up, and then the problem is solved. And if you build your foundation really steady and really good, you can build a tower into the sky. If you are lacking the foundation and if you're a bit lazy with like what you put at the bottom, you maybe get to here and then it will crash down and you have to start again.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
So actually most of the training is super basic, and I would recommend everyone doing it because it's just everyday life with the horses.
Is this something that everybody can learn?
Absolutely, yes, everyone. And nowadays there's so many good trainers out there as well that literally do it like a step to step, that even people that maybe find it a bit difficult naturally to with the feel and the emotions and stuff, that they can follow, and then the rest will come naturally. So it's a bit more step 1, step 2, step 3, and there's other people who say they're a bit more natural with it and just pick it up like this and have a certain feel already. But even then sometimes I think it's good if you put a plan down and you know like what you're doing and why also.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Wow, this has been so insightful. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I can't wait to see you out there in the ring.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it.
Thank you.
Let's see what we can show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.